Hey guys, have you heard of this story? 3 injured when mom rehydrates pizza slices. Despite warning labels about public service announcements about hazard...
What about this story? Youth jailed, Marty McFly Jr. arrested for theft?
Hi, I'm Reba Hervis, Artistic Director at Overshadowed Theatrical Productions. Welcome to this week's episode, From the Wings. And today we have with us...
Rebecca Leland.
And Angelo.
And behind the camera we have Kaylee Sell. And today, we're going
Back to the future!
We did a review, Rebecca and I, on the musical Back to Future when it was in New York several months ago. And recently, that musical has been traveling across the United States, and we made sure that that was one that we needed to go see. How's it going to be different? And then Angelo saw it for the first time. You hadn't seen it before.
Very first time.
So our reactions, seeing it the second time, and Angelo's for seeing the first time, and whether you should add this to your list and whether you should go out and try to find Back to the Future playing somewhere near you. So who wants to go first?
So I love the movie. Actually, I remember being a little kid watching it with my sister in the living room and getting to the end of the movie and it has the to be continued and I was like, oh, there's more! Mom, we gotta get it from Blockbuster! You know? And so being so just enthralled by the movie and just how fun it is. But I didn't like it, even though like they did a good job. I just didn't connect with the story, and I felt like it really fell flat for me. Because
of what? The story, the characters who presented it, the music, or all of the above.
I felt like the music was kind of generic. I didn't really connect with any of the songs.
You didn't walk out singing any of the songs.
I didn't walk out singing any of the songs.
Except Power of Love, which was already one of them.
Yeah, I felt like the songs from the movie Power of Love, Johnny Be Good, Back in Time. Those are the songs from the movie that were great. It was nice to hear them again. But other than that, I didn't feel like the music was memorable. I kind of felt like they kind of just wandered and tried to find a chorus, or it was like just kind of nice sounding music. So it was pleasant to listen to, but it didn't really impact the story. And I felt like just the story was lacking. There were a lot of times where it felt like they made artistic choices and they didn't help the story along. It was kind of like you were just seeing a scene.
Do you think it was uninspired because of the way that, like, the people who wrote it? So can you go into that? Like, who wrote it and why they wrote it? So this is really interesting.
So the guy that wrote the movie, I think his name is Bob Gale. He also wrote the script for the musical. So, and then one of the songwriter who did the instrumentals for the score for the movie also came back and helped with the music. So they basically put together the team from the film to help with the musical, and then found producers to take it off from there. So it has the team that did it, but they just, I feel like maybe Bob Gale isn't as experienced writing musicals, and so maybe that didn't help translate it.
I feel like for me, I enjoyed it more the second time, which is very rare for me as a musical. Almost always I like the story to unfold and I get caught up in it and I like it better the first time, and then it never meets up the second and the third time. But for this one, there were things I missed about New York, so I think we all told you that in New York, the DeLorean at the end flies out over the audience and turns upside down. And that's part of the reason I wanted to see it.
Are they going to do it again?
Because I wanted to know how in the world is this show going to transport itself and travel. And of course it didn't. And I think even the appearance of the car on stage in New York, it was all of a sudden just was there all the time, and we were like, where did the car come from? Whereas this time you could kind of see it come on and see the things happen. So that part of the story I felt like were disappointing, but I think I was ready for it because I didn't think there was any way possible they could do that.
You set your expectations.
I liked my Marty McFly better. The one we had in New York I just did not think he was anywhere near should be representing Michael J. Fox. But this one was a little bit more Michael J. Fox-ish. I also felt like, if you guys go back and look at the other review, I didn't like Doc. I felt like Doc in New York was way too slimy.
What did you think about Doc here?
And this one I felt like gave a little bit of, like, homage to the first guy, but I felt like overall he was a lot more wholesome.
Could you understand him?
Right, yeah.
He slurred like
really? You can
nobody's
understand him?
business. He almost sounded drunk.
Right.
The
He
way that
mumbled
he
a
was
lot.
drunk when
He
you
mumbled
guys
a
saw
lot.
it.
Like
yeah.
he was just like, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, at first it was kind of like a gag because there were moments where, like, when Marty's filming him when he's first talking about the car.
He like goes really like,
Right.
he actually goes, oh,
Yeah. So it felt kind of like he got nervous in front of the camera. He's like, blah, blah, blah,
And we
blah, blah,
laughed
blah,
the
blah.
first
and it was
time.
funny, but then he kept doing it, and especially when he was singing, it was like I didn't understand half the lyrics because
slurring it.
And we were maybe 4 rows from the front, 3 rows from the front, so we were
So if
close.
anyone should hear, it's us.
Yeah.
You did
And
not have that problem?
I did not have that problem. I wonder if he really was drunk.
Can you take his
don't
breathalyzer
know.
real
Yes.
fast?
There were definitely things that I appreciated more about this show, and I think the fact that my husband went with me this time. Not that I don't love you going with me.
I mean, Chuck. We all love Chuck.
But I think that seeing it with somebody who is from the same time, right?
Yeah.
I think it made it more fun. It was more nostalgic.
Actually, something interesting that was happening with the Chicago set is there were a lot of technical difficulties. So like from the very first weekend, and I'm pretty sure to the very last weekend, they had technical issues.
Right.
We had a couple where the screen was glitching, and almost for the first time, it seemed like, oh, it's like changing, and it was like supposed to be that. But then the second time it happened, you're like, oh, that's not supposed to do that.
That's a goof.
And
You
they actually
guys-
stopped the show when we were there, which I never have a problem with. Like for me,
Really?
most of the time the audiences always understand that that's what happens and we're okay. As long as the show can go on afterwards, then I'm okay. But they did stop it at a very intense part of the story, which was a little disappointing. But it's a very technical show.
Yes.
If you want to know if technology has a place in changing the landscape of theater, that's a show to go watch because it's so incredible.
Yes. And that's what we said with the first one too in New York. We're like, wow, we love how they mixed it. They didn't take away like all the physical elements of the set. Like they added, it was just melded well. And it was fun to see, will the traveling show be that way? And I would say yes, the traveling show was that way. It was a dumbed down version. Like the tree for the traveling show that Marty McFly's dad goes up into, it was very like one dimensional, but in New York it was just like so cool.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Agreed.
So
But,
I think,
you can't,
and that's what you get from a traveling show.
Exactly.
But the tech and the tech was amazing.
Yeah, that was something that even though I didn't necessarily like it for the story, I did think the technical aspects were pretty incredible. And like just seeing the car show up for the first time, it was like a magic trick. I mean, it's like there's nothing on stage and all of a sudden there's a car that seems like it's just going to like fly out into the audience. And so there's so many cool things like that, which just made, because that's one of the things when I first heard about them creating the musical for Back to the Future, I was like, I just couldn't get it. I was like, how can you make this movie a musical?
Right.
And
that's what the writers thought too.
And you still don't
They still haven't done it yet.
He goes, is this okay? And they're like, sure.
But the way they were able to translate the car onto the stage was just, I mean, it was so impressive. They really did such a great job. And the climax of the musical where, you know, he's trying to get him back to the future. There were so many awesome things that they did with the set where, you know, Doc is just standing in one place and the set's moving around him, but you feel like he's moving, you know? So, it was really impressive.
We're going to say that this show is fun if you want to go just for the fun of it, but don't expect great things. Just
I think that's fair. Yeah.
I do too. Yeah. I think entertainment, it's safe entertainment. For quality of the show, I'm going to give it a 5. For the fun, if you can just let yourself go and have fun, I'm going to give it a 7.
I would give it a 6 out of 10.
I'd give it a 5 too. Definitely fun to see the representation of the film turning the musical, but I don't know.
Thank you so much for watching us today. Please make sure that you follow us, like, subscribe, and we can't wait to talk to you again next week. Until next time, this is just me.
And me.
And me.
Talking to you
from the wings.